The Pokemon card market continues to go crazy, and if you've invested in anything or bought anything on this front page of TCG Player, you've done well. So the Pokemon investors who are on YouTube, it makes our job easy because if we say buy any of this, it's all gone up, so we look like geniuses. But unfortunately, that won't be the case forever, and that's kind of what this video is. I go over what I'm buying, how I'm attacking all of these Pokemon products. You know, not trying to convince you one way or the other, but I'm just giving you one man's thoughts on what he's doing in this Pokemon market, because let's face it, you can't buy everything as much as you want to, and if you try, you'll go broke. So I'll let you know my thoughts and my processes as we go on. Looking at the first page, again, dominated by sealed product. We do have a few 7 raw cards, but then the rest is all sealed product, which is not surprising. Sealed product continues to go crazy right now. Rip and shippers continuing to buy product to have to fuel their operations, and the rip and ship is still going crazy. I think it was Nostalgianomics. Someone had a really good YouTube video about rip and ship and how it's really changed the game going forward. It's just so much harder to find product now because everyone's ripping through it so fast. So the Scarlet and Violet era might be printed more, but it is definitely open more than the Sword and Shield era was. Surprise visit. Say hi to the camera. So we'll start here with the Mega Evolutions. This is the enhanced booster box, which I think is going to be much better because the Bulbasaur obviously is going to command a premium. I think that's a very good promo. But this thing, because of all of the mixed signals we've gotten, it's, you know, 2-wave release of 60% on release day and then 40% coming in the weeks after. And the mix-up between some are going to be enhanced, some aren't. There's so much confusion about this product that it's going to be really hard to pre-order any of these because I don't even know if stores know what they have at this point. But point is, at $300, this enhanced booster box, I would not be paying this. If you watched last week's video or maybe the week before that, I let you know I bought one of these for my collection at $250 just to have it. I bought it from eBay, so I didn't pay taxes. And the one for my collection is going to be enough. Because in my opinion, I would rather have both Destined Rivals before this, if that ever comes down to this price, or I'd rather have the next Mega Evolution set, the Charizard and Gengar set. So at $300, I'm definitely saving my money to put it into one of those two places rather than buying Mega Evolutions at $300 for investment purposes. This continues to go up and I missed the boat, so be it. Again, I don't like chasing and I'm very risk adverse. I'm going to do a whole video on risk mitigation going forward, but you guys don't want to hear that in this video. But I'll be quick about it because at $300, I think there's a very good chance that this set gets reprinted in the future. And maybe if another big set comes out like Mega Charizard that overshadows this one might get a little bit less coverage and might go down a little bit. But again, that's just my thought. Destined Rivals, same thing. This had, you know, 1 week of down where it went from 315 down to about 300, but now it's all the way back to about 325. Look at here, recent sold is 325, 329, 339. So this box continues to go crazy. Again, I have 4 boxes that I bought at around 220. I'm not chasing at 320. I do think this will get reprinted. The problem with reprints is even places like Danny Phantom, who is my favorite YouTuber, hands down, I've been watching him forever. Huge fan of his content. Even he got his booster boxes and he said he was paying, you know, distributors were selling to him at closer to market. So he had to sell on his website for $300 and he said they sold out pretty quick. And that's the problem with these reprints is that if the distribution is selling to these websites at higher prices, at prices closer to market, they have to sell at or above market to even break even or get any sort of profit on them. But if people are buying them at $300, again, you look at rip and shippers, they need the packs, and this is a very good way to get packed. You know, even at $320, that's $9 a pack, which they can turn around and sell those on stream, and people will pay over $10 a pack for Destined Rivals. I'm sure it's such a good set. So I am being patient on this, but again, if reprints come and it only drops the price down to $300 and I miss it, so be it. I've got my position of 4 at 220, and if I don't get any more, then I don't get any more. But I will be patient on this, especially for investment, just because in my opinion, there's better places to put $320 in this market. And speaking of better places to put money, 151. I think 151 is still one of the best products you can be buying. These booster bundles have actually gone up a little bit. They're almost $80 now. And when you look at an $80 booster bundle for 6 packs, that's like $13 a pack. Not ideal, but it is sealed. For me personally, I'm still buying Blooming Waters and breaking down the packs. The problem is, of course, loose packs are going to command less of a premium than booster bundles. So if you're willing to pay up just to have a sealed product, I do think 151 booster bundles are pretty good. At $13 a pack, I think it's still pretty solid. These are still being put out in vending machines and stuff like that. So if you can find them locally, that's great. We don't have any vending machines near me, so I have to go to the open market for these. I haven't been buying them on the open market because, like I said, I have about 25 of these put away already. Where I'm putting all my money is in the Blooming Waters. I've been breaking them down and I'll just store the loose packs. Just a little bit easier. But I do think at $80 here, this is not a terrible buy. Because it is a sealed product and command a little bit of a premium. Prismatic Evolution ETBs, this one's very, very interesting because this has been dropping and is on my radar because I think this is comparable to 151 ETBs. And we'll take a look at those a little bit later in the video. They're obviously performing very well. I think 151 personally is a little bit better of a set, but I'm a Kanto guy. Nostalgia speaks a lot to me. Pull rates are better. But the set value of Prismatic Evolutions is still much higher than 151. So people chasing those God packs and the big buck lottery tickets are still going to open Prismatic Evolutions like they do Evolving Skies. So I do think these are a really good buy. My caveat is you might be sitting on this a little while. I've been picking these up on eBay. I picked up my first one the other day. I offered 85 bucks. It was $85 after taxes and shipping, which feels very good to me. Anything under $100, I think that's a lot of people's sentiment on this, is anything under $100, which is why you're seeing it kind of bounce just around that $100 mark. When you look at sales here, 97, 97, 97, 97. Again, just below, but I think anything under 100 is going to be picked up by a lot of people. So I think if you can find these, especially locally or eBay, 75, 80 bucks, I think those will be a good pickup. Looks like Pokemon is continuing to print out more and more of these. Pokemon just reprinted ETBs of Surging and Twilight. So if you think those are before Prismatic, they might print Prismatic next. So keep an eye on this. That's why I'm not saying go all in on these at $100 a box, but keep an eye on them. If you can pick them up for 80, I think, talking about downside risk, I don't see these going much below MSRP if they ever even get to MSRP. But if Pokemon does a big reprint wave like they did with Surging Sparks and Twilight, I think they could get down there. We continue to see these getting rolled out in Costco's and all that stuff. So a lot of people locally have these. So I'm picking up a few here and there if I can find them at 80 and then wait for them to come down a little bit more. I'm not going all in at 100, but a big factor in that decision is I already have a lot of these that I picked up at MSRP. When they first came out, I pre-ordered a whole bunch of these at MSRP. So I have quite a few of these that I'm sitting on, which is why I'm not in a rush to get many more. I'll continue to watch these and continue. If they go up, you know, instead of down, maybe I would buy them if they start creeping up, if it gets a little bit older. But I can see and make an argument for why you'd want to pick these up, because as I'll mention later in the video, I think these are very similar to 151, and eventually they'll stop printing ETBs. I think they'll print the ancillary products, you know, those Tyranitar boxes. Those will take the place of Blooming Waters and the heavy hitter boxes they used to do, the Sea and Sky boxes. I think they'll continue to print Prismatic that way going forward, and they might not print these ETBs as much. So I think eventually these will shoot up $200. It's just a matter of when. If you don't want to miss the boat, you can buy now and just hold on to it if you're all right sitting on dead money. Like I said, I picked these up at MSRP way back when, so I've been sitting on these for dead money for the whole time they've been out. If you look at the 6-month chart, down 26%, but I'm comfortable knowing that I'm just going to hold on to these, and eventually I'm going to ride the wave back up. So still being patient on these, but picking them up if I can around 80 bucks. Bubble Mew, I missed that one, and this goes hand in hand with this Mew promo card. That's all, if I'm reading that right, $87 market price. When did that happen? Absolutely insane, but these two cards look so cool together. The contrast of the pink and the blue on both of these, amazing. I wish I had both of these in a PSA 10. Unfortunately, I sold all of my pink promo cards. I sold all these earlier when they ran up to $50, and I thought I was a cool cat selling them for 50 bucks when I was picking them up for $5. And I even sold off, I think I had one or two PSA 10s that I sold off on this, and then I never could buy the Mew, the Bubble Mew, which again will haunt me. But again, talking about risk mitigation and where the downside risk is, I feel there's much more downside risk on a Bubble Mew going, you know, from $600 back down to $300 than there is a Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer box going from $100 to $50. And so that's just where I would rather put my money into 151 or Prismatic over chasing these hot singles. I do think Mew could very well be the Umbreon VMAX of this era and could keep going up. I could very easily see it passing the Umbreon EX from Prismatic Evolutions, which is now $843. When you look at these, only $200 separating these two, and I could see that with them printing out more Prismatic Evolutions and then apparently skipping Paldean Fates. When are we going to get a Paldean Fates reprint? It seems like they are just ignoring that set altogether, which is crazy to me, but I could see the Mew continuing to run, but it's not one that I'm personally chasing. The Charizard EX, however, is one that I'm chasing. I'm still doing grading plays on this. I still have good feelings about 151. And again, I'm not always right. If I had, instead of buying two Charizard EXs, had bought one Bubble Mew, that Bubble Mew would have doubled by then. So that's the problem with singles, is they're a lot more volatile, but the Charizard EXs and all the 151 and the Crown Zenith big hits are cards that I'm picking up right now. Trying to grade those and sell into the hype while I can. Evolving Skies booster box, one that got away from me, but we'll take a look at it anyway. This is now 2450, 2430, 2450 last sold. So again, knocking on the door 2500. I think it'll knock on the door, hang around here for a little bit, and then have its next leg up, which is crazy to say, but this set continues to surprise. In my opinion, there's a lot of other things I would want for 2,500 bucks, but it continues to prove me wrong time and time again. More booster bundles. I think Prismatic Evolutions could keep coming down. Destined Rivals at 47 could keep coming down. I think they'll continue to reprint those. Surging Sparks booster boxes at 242. Those I still think are a pretty decent pickup, especially with the reprints that have been around. I think Surging Sparks is probably the third best set of the era, so the problem with it is that it's later on in the set, so it gives it more time to be reprinted, but I still picked up a box of this, and we'll see how that does. Destined Rivals Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box. I think this at 245 is still high. I think they could reprint this. I think they printed Prismatic Evolutions 4 times, so I'd be waiting on this Destined Rivals one to see if they reprint it. And the Victini promo card, I think this one will do very well. If you want to take some riskier plays and buy some singles, I think this is a pretty safe bet to be picking up here at $7. You know, even if they reprint this Victini box, I think it'll still do well in the future. I think it's a very good promo. I don't think it's as good as the Greninja and the Kingdra promos, but I do think it's a very good promo that'll do very well going forward. But I'll show you one in the future that's just around the same price that I think will do better. But every time I think one will do better, these little known ones that are in collection boxes always outperform the one I'm thinking of. So we'll see what happens. Blooming Waters is still my pick. Like I said, this is $132, but I'm trying to pick them up. You can find them on eBay for like $120 shipped, and again, I'm not paying taxes on eBay, so that's much better. That's $10 a pack, and so I'll pick up those at $10 a pack all day. Lost Origin booster boxes are up to $830, $833, $825, $839. So $840 on these. I think these will continue to do well. I think they'll run right alongside Fusion Strike. I think both of these are very similar boxes. Fusion Strike is actually knocking on the door of $1,000. The last sale was $999.87. So right there, knocking on the door of $1,000, which is crazy. But I think Lost Origin is right behind it. I think Lost Origin is a very, very good set. Especially that Trainer Gallery, I think does amazing. But people love their chase cards, so that'll keep Fusion Strike high. Brilliant Stars booster box. I mentioned this being a buy in my previous videos if you got some deep pockets. Unfortunately, now it's gone up from 400. You know, I think I was saying at 440, 450 to buy it. Now it's at 550, 560, 585. Is it still a good buy? Maybe, but again, I'm not chasing here because it's too rich for my blood. But if you're looking for a Sword and Shield era box, still might have some room to grow. I could see this one growing just because of the Charizard chases, with Charizard being the next mega set coming up, and then the Trainer Gallery in this set is amazing because it's got all the evolutions in it, so I think this one will continue to do very well in the future. The Snorlax promo is interesting from the 151 Elite Trainer box. This actually came down a little bit. It was up to all the way up to 1961, and now it's dropped back down to 1566 as a market price. And if you look at last sales, actually one sold for $14. The more recent sales were 18, 18, 15, 17. So again, off its $20 high, but I still think this is a very good promo. And actually, someone listed 12 of them for $10. I might, if this was on eBay, I would buy these out instantly. Again, unfortunately, I got to pay tax here. But even then, I still might buy these because I think this is an amazing promo. This is from a $350 box now, I think. And this is the only way that you can get this card. It's a beautiful promo, so I personally think this is a very good card that will do very well in the future. But again, the problem is it's been pumped so far already. But I mean, again, this is coming from a $300 box, and it's a cool promo. So I think these will do very well in the future.
12 seconds later.
All right, full disclosure, I literally just bought, I think, 7 of these. So yeah, so now they got 5 left. So that's full disclosure. I literally just saw that play and bought 7 of those because I think this card will do very well. I personally don't have this in a PSA 10. So hopefully some of these come and are gradable, and I can grade some of those. But I think this is a very cool promo from a $300 box. I think this is doing very well. I'm personally buying, as you just saw. Big fan of this promo. Big fan of this card. I think this will do very well. And then Kingdra EX at $67. I'm personally skipping that one. You know, it could continue to run, but I have so much price memory of this that it's hard to keep chasing that one. But the Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. This is personally my favorite card of the entire era. And I still think at $200, I think it's a good buy. You know, I was saying down here at 150, 160, it was a good buy. All the way up to 200, I still think it's a good buy. I'm personally still buying these. I think I just sent 2 of them off to be graded, and I have 1 more coming in the mail that I'm going to be sending off to get graded. And again, like I was saying in my other videos, this feels better to buy off its all-time high of about $214, $217, so it's about $220. feels better to buy it off its all-time high rather than the Bubble Mew, which is at its all-time high. So I'll continue to buy these and continue to grade these, hope they do well. But, you know, when you look at the Shining Charizard from Shining Fates, you know, that card was like $100 card for the longest time. So this one could come down to $100, and I might be wrong again, but I'm just trying to play off the Charizard hype of the Mega Evolution set. And Charizard's my favorite, so, you know, buy what you love, grade what you love. And I think this card is still undervalued at $200. I think this card is beautiful. I love it. It looks menacing. The colors are great. I really love this card. The Celebrations UPC at $800, I still think that's a little bit high, but if you compare a Celebrations UPC to a 151 Pokemon Center ETB, I'd rather have the Celebrations UPC. Same thing, 151 Ultra Premium Collection at $500. Seems crazy just because of price memory, but you get a lot of packs, you get those sweet promos. So if you don't have this, I can't tell you not to buy it. The problem is I saw Celebrations UPCs stay stagnant at $300 for 3 years. I bought mine for $360 back in 2022, and I saw it stay stagnant from 2022 to 2023 to 2024, and finally had its run in 2025. So a lot of these, I know we're in a market that says Pokemon can't go down, Pokemon never goes down. However, Pokemon can very well stay stagnant for years and years. I could see some of these products start to do that. Now, 151, is that the product? Probably not, but Celebrations after the 30th, maybe it starts to wean off. I'm just saying, there is some downside risk to these, or risk that the market might stay stagnant that we haven't seen in a long time, but has historically happened in the Pokemon hobby. The 151 Booster Bundle display, I have to take a look at this because this is almost my most expensive product that I own personally at $1,250, $1,249 a last sale, $11.99. So knocking on the door, $1,200. There's the only ones listed are for $1,250, and this is just such a cool product. I bought this from GameStop. Rest in peace to GameStop online orders of Pokemon cards. They only sell in store now, but back in the day when you could buy them online, I loved it. They had a buy two get one free deal on these bundles. I bought I think I bought 10 to try to get a sealed display. So I got 2 of them. You know, every third one was free essentially. And so I got this super cheap and got lucky enough that they sent me a sealed bundle, which is amazing. So I plan on keeping that for a long, long time. But again, Nostalgianomics just made a video on this. When you look at the individual booster bundle prices versus this sealed display, it's a huge premium on this thing. So I'm not sure if that'll keep up forever or if this is, you know, a little bit overvalued. I'm holding the one I have. I'm not buying anymore. But it's just a really cool product. It looks really neat. I have this one and the Paldean Fates one, which is awesome. I'm so happy to have those two. It's because they make such cool display pieces. And there's so many packs in here. Going on to page 3, I'll start speeding things up a little bit because obviously we're deep in the video now. But some people like these longer forms, so I appreciate you guys watching. The 151 Elite Trainer Box continues to go crazy. This is the exact thing I was telling you about. If you look at the sales data, you've got over $330 for every sale. $326 was the lowest sale on here, but $343 is the lowest listed on this. I can see Prismatic Evolutions doing the same thing. Again, it's tough because we have, you know, we're in the greatest bull market we've ever seen. I get that, but I could see once Prismatic Evolution stops getting printed, and that might be a year from now, it might be 2 years from now. I would guess it's a year from now. However, we're still seeing 151 get reprinted through the means of Blooming Waters and vending machine booster bundles, all those things. What we are not seeing any more of is the 151 Elite Trainer Box. So will they continue to print Prismatic Evolutions through these reprint windows, through these large boxes that they're selling in Target and Sam's Club and all those? And will they forget about the ETBs eventually? Maybe, maybe not. But again, you should probably hedge your bets a little bit in case they don't reprint these. And that's why I'm starting to pick up the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs, even down here at $80, because sure, they could go lower, but they could stop reprinting them and they could shoot to the moon. Again, that being said, disclaimer, I'm not putting all of my money into Prismatic ETBs because I have a lot already. More of my money is going into 151, but again, it's all about hedging your risk and being somewhat risk adverse. So, you know, I'm not going all in on 151. I'm buying a little Prismatic. I'm buying a little 151. So that's just my thought. I do think the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs will eventually follow 151 ETBs and get up to $300. Will it take 2 years? Will it take 3 years? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think it'll get there eventually. On page 3, we do have some raw cards, but most of them are big alt arts. We do have some promos in here, the Charizard and the Mewtwo. But again, I'm not chasing these big cards. That's why I don't really talk about them on my videos. I'm just not chasing these. You know, I was in the Sword and Shield era. That's when I first started, but I never pulled the Giratina. I never pulled the Gengar. So I'm not chasing these once they get by me. And again, that's all about risk mitigation. I know these will do fine long term. They're big cards, they're big chases, but to me, $500 is a lot of money to be spending on Pokemon. And even more so if you're buying PSA 10s. There's just so much downside risk there that I would rather put that money in a sealed product, especially for investment purposes. Now, I have a lot of cards, I have a lot of PSA graded stuff that would obviously do better if I liquidated all of it, but especially stuff that I've pulled or stuff that I can buy for $100 to $200, that's my sweet spot. I'll keep those and collect those and sit on them. Those feel a lot better than these $500 cards that are just out of my price range. The Surging Sparks Elite Trainer boxes, this one's a very interesting one. I think these are being reprinted with Sam's Club. I actually just picked, or with Costco. I just picked up 2 today from my local Costco. That's why you see huge volume here. It's because these got a real restock as far as distribution goes. I think a non-TCG just posted that they were finally getting theirs in their warehouse. So these are getting reprinted at the distribution level and the big box level, which means these are getting a double whammy of reprints. And these came out for Prismatic Evolutions. So that's my only hesitation with the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs, is if they're printing Surging Spark and Twilight ETBs now, maybe they're going to flip the switch and they're printing Prismatic next, which might be the next wave of ETBs to come in. So that's why I'm not going all in on the Prismatic ETBs. But Surging Sparks, I think these are a buy, especially if you can buy these from people locally, or better yet, at MSRP from these drops. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I still think Surging Sparks is one of the better sets. I know it gets compared to Vivid Voltage a lot, and if it gets reprinted, it might do a Vivid Voltage where it starts off hot and then comes way down and kind of sits down there for a little while before running. But I still think Surging Sparks is a better set personally. And especially for this price point, it's a very attractive for not only opening or buying to invest, but opening if you can find these, especially at MSRP. But I think you'll see a lot of people start to offload these as well. So the closer these get to MSRP, the better, obviously. So I am actively buying these and looking to buy more. Again, fun set to open, fun set to invest. Pikachu is a fan favorite, so I think these will do very well. Again, not going all in, but buying what I can for sure, especially if I can find them for MSRP while they're being reprinted. 151 booster packs, these are what I'm holding. These are my bread and butter. I could see a day where these run to $15 when Bloomin' Waters and booster bundles stop being reprinted. Who knows how long that'll be, because it seems like every single week there's a new Blooming Waters restock at Target specifically. Even in store, they've been pumping these out like crazy, so these are everywhere, and that's great for me for buying them. I have so many of these. In fact, I had 3 of them come in today. 3 Blooming Waters boxes come in today, so I'm still actively buying those. And again, I just break them down because I don't want to store huge collection boxes. I still think these loose packs will do just fine going forward in the future. I've had no problem selling off all my Sword and Shield packs that I have. I sell them in as lots on eBay, and they sell well. As long as you have good feedback, you're not weighing the packs, you're not doing anything sketchy with them, they'll sell. People will open them, people will get hits, and they'll leave good feedback for you, which, you know, furthers your strength as a seller. So I've had no problem offloading these 151 packs. In the future, you know, maybe I get so many of them that I deal with Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles. There's so many live streamers now that'll buy your pack, and again, as long as you're not doing anything sketchy with them, they'll buy them, no questions asked. So I think these are pretty safe, especially if you can get them around $10 a pack. They've started going up a little bit. I mean, it looks like they're going up in 3 months, but when you look at the 6 month, they've been reprinting this so much that it's been around this $11 mark for the last 6 months, and I think it'll continue to stay there for a little while. But again, I could see this, you know, 1 week, 1 month, shooting all the way up to $15, and we're looking at it and saying, whoa, what happened to 151? When did that happen? And it's just because eventually these things stop being available. So I'm picking up as many of these as I can, even at $10 a pack. And that's just for me personally. There's so many things that I could look at, and you can say there's opportunity, but everything just comes back to I'd rather put stuff into 151, and not all in on 151, but the majority of my money right now is going to 151 for sure. Like, especially, like, if you look at Paldea Evolve, $370, I'd rather buy 3 Blooming Waters and just have, you know, 36 loose packs of 151. I know booster boxes do better historically, but I do think 151 is that good, even with all the printing it's gotten, even with Charizard being like the most graded card in history. I just think that set is so good long term that it'll do very well. On page 4, we start to see some 151 pop up with the Blastoise and Venusaur EX. Again, no surprises there. We've got Charmander promo. Again, I think this is very similar to the Snorlax promo, which is why I just bought 10 of them, or 7 of them at $10 each, because I think this is another very good promo from a very expensive box now. The ETB is running up like crazy. You know, fan favorite Pokemon, Gen 1, so I could see the Snorlax eventually running up to the $20, $30 mark just like this. And as far as this Charmander, you know, it's broke out of its previous high, so now it's at an all-time high, around $30, which is crazy. But we've seen what promos can do. I'm personally not buying any more of these. I've got a few of these that I'm holding on to. just to see what they do. But again, if the market cools, I do think some of these promo cards that have run recently, people might start to offload just because they've run so far so fast. So these are ones I'm kind of hesitant on, especially the ones that have already run, like this, the Mewtwo, the Charizards. But again, maybe it's just because I have price memory of those being $5 cards. Pikachu Secret Rare from Crown Zenith. I can't believe this. Again, talk about price memory. I should make a whole video about price memory because it really messes you up when you're trying to buy things later on. This, look, recent sales $35. This has got to be near mint, 35, 35, 35. The light blades were 15 and 20. So maybe it really is becoming a $35 card. But I mean, these were everywhere. Yeah, the lowest list is 35 on these Pikachu Secret Rares from Crown Zenith. I love this card, and I'm so... I get so mad at myself because, like, I'm going to be yapping, so I hope that's okay. But it's my YouTube channel, I'm going to yap. Like I said, I got started in 2022. So the whole time I've been in the hobby, I've been doing PSA grading stuff. And all the people I watch, their premise is, they're trying to run a business. So you want to get your cards back, you want to sell them off as quick as you can, get that margin, get that money back into more plays, more plays, more plays. And so I was doing that with these Pikachu cards. I graded so many of these cards, had so many in PSA 10s. I even set some back, and because I knew this card was so good. But eventually it got to a price where I was just like, all right, I'm selling them off, selling them off, selling them off. And I sold all of my PSA graded copies. Now, the good news, the only caveat to that is I kept a whole bunch of these in a trade binder. So I have maybe 8 to 10 of these in a trade binder that, again, I was buying for less than $10. I mean, look, yeah, all day last year you could get these for $8, $9, $7. And I was picking up so many of these because we didn't know. I mean, no one knew what this market was going to do. So I can't really beat myself up for it, but it's just one that just feels bad because on so many of these plays, I knew they were going to be good plays, but I'm just used to a bear market, so I wasn't expecting it to go up this quickly. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Instead of chasing these cards, I'm trying to find these cards of the now, essentially, if that makes sense. And I'll talk about some of those as we go forward. So instead of chasing these, I'm actually selling into this strength with some of these promos and some of these hot cards, and moving them into newer promos that I think could do the same thing in the future years. And speaking of that, this is the exact promo I was thinking of. This EV card here from the Prismatic Evolutions ETB is one that I think will do very well. Again, I think it's just like every other promo we've looked at. And again, when you're comparing 151 or 151 Snorlax to this EV, they're both around $8, $10 or whatever. I just bought the Snorlaxes at $10, and this EV is only $8. But when you look at the 151 ETB for $350 versus the Prismatic ETB of only $100, is this EV card overpriced or is the Snorlax undervalued? In my opinion, the Snorlax is undervalued, but I do think this EV is also undervalued. I think this EV is a beautiful card. I think this will do very well long term. Sleeping Pokemon do very well. And again, the Snorlax was sleeping too. That's just funny. But cute fan favorite Pokemon, Gen 1 EV. In my opinion, this is one that I, put my money where my mouth is. Instead of chasing those old promos that have run, I'd rather buy 10 of these instead of one, 151 Mew that's at $80. I'd rather buy 10 of these. And then if you get those 10 and some of them are gradable, blah, 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 you can run that play. It's better for me, in my opinion, to spread your wealth out a little bit more rather than going all in on some certain plays, especially ones that have already run so much. So for me personally, what am I doing? I am buying these EV cards as much as I can, again, as well as the Snorlaxes. Essentially the promo cards that haven't run, that I think still have some room to run, and that I think are quote-unquote no-brainer plays, or that look super, super good, even though they're everywhere and everyone's open Prismatic ETBs. Prismatic ETBs are still being printed, blah, blah, blah. All of that. This card will do very well once they go out of print. So you might have to sit on these for 2-3 years, but again, if you just put $100 into a card like this, just set it aside, in a few years, you'll be thanking yourself for sure. And again, late in the video to be saying this is not financial advice, but this is just what I'm doing. The Greninja EX, this is another one that I'm kicking myself because I love this card. If you go back and watch my grading videos, I was grading these, I was saying these cards are going to do well, but again, I did not expect it to move at the speed it has moved, and so it has definitely gotten away from me. I have maybe 2 of these left, and none in a Gem Mint 10. I have 1 out at PSA right now that's coming back. Hopefully that gets a Gem Mint 10. And then I'll have a real tough choice because I do love this card. Fan favorite Pokemon, unique art. If this was in Shrouded Fable, it would be a $200 card easily. So if I get a 10, do I hold it or do I, again, try to sell it, flip it, and move on to the next play? In my opinion, I'll probably hold on to it, but, if they don't print any more of this, because why would they print Shrouded Fable? I could see this card keep running But again, back to my original point, I'd rather have 10 EVs than this card personally. Sort of the same thing with this Lucario V-Star, but I think EV is just a better card in general. I mean, I know this is a full art. It's definitely got that Galarian Gallery feel, but I just think the EV and the Snorlax cards are a little bit better when you're looking at the same price. I'd rather have those two, but maybe that's the exact reason why this will run. People are buying those other ones. That seems to be what happens. You know, some of these plays are so obvious that a lot of people are doing them, so they don't run as fast or as far as you think they will. All right, we'll speed run. We're past the first 5 pages. We're probably getting close to 30 minutes here on the video, so I'll speed run a little bit. One I do want to mention, though, the Pikachu EX from Surging Sparks. I mentioned with the reprint of Surging Sparks, I am paying very close attention to this card. Now down to $256 from its high of, you know, it was almost $400, $500 at release. Stayed $400 for a while and then came crashing down. I will be looking to pick this up at about $150, maybe $200 if it gets down that low. This one for me is a lot like the Vivid Voltage Pikachu, which I really like that Pikachu too. And I waited for that card to come down forever. Ended up picking it up in CollectR for like $100 or something like that. So I'm being very patient on this card, but obviously I would love to pick it up at 100 to 150 like that Vivid Voltage Pikachu. But will it get down that low? I'm not sure if it will. So I would consider buying this from 150 to 200 range. Again, if it gets down that low, that is where I would look to be buying this card, because I do like this card. I love the rainbow borders on these. I'm sure the texture looks good. I haven't seen it in real life, but this is one that I'm definitely keeping an eye on, especially with that Surging Sparks reprint now, as one that I want to grade, get a PSA 10, and hold on to for a long time. Anything else on this front page? The Pikachu market price is $33. That's probably going up. The Obsidian Flames Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box, this went through a buyout recently. This thing's like $800 or something now, stupid. Yeah, $850, $750, $727, so crazy things happening here. The lowest list is $829, $830 on these, so these continue to go crazy. And again, like my video mentioned on the Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes, I really like these because of how scarce they are. The big guys aren't playing in them because it's not, they don't have distribution access to these. So it's really a level playing field. So if you can find these, I think these are great. Obviously not at $800. I would not be buying these at $800. There's so many more plays I'd rather buy at $800 rather than Obsidian Flames Pokemon Center ETB. But going forward, I think Pokemon Center ETBs going forward are still a good pickup. Again, I'm not chasing this. I'd rather spend $800 on a ton of Blooming Waters, but that's just me personally. I am holding the one that I have, but page 7, we finally get Celebrations Charizard cracking the top 10. This is one that I've been harping on for years. If you've been watching the channel, I've been grading these forever, and I can't take credit. Credit goes to Catch 'em All Collectibles. Love Dan. He's one of my favorite content creators, and I've been running this Charizard play for the 3 years I've been grading, and it has been my cash cow for sure. This has been my best returner, got the best Gem Mint 10 rate. It always does well. I sell them in lots with Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise. They sell super well. In fact, I can't ever keep them in stock. I just sold my last lot of these for $800 the other day. So I've got some out at PSA that are hopefully coming back to me. Trying to replenish, keep doing the play. But this card has finally broken the $100 barrier. It's $111 right now, with sales around 110, but sales creeping up to 118 for some sales. And the only big time sellers with any sort of feedback are at 118, 119. So this is creeping up to $120, which we haven't seen that in a long time. In fact, I don't think I've ever been buying them at that price. I'm normally buying them between $80 to $100. I usually buy on eBay, so I'm willing to pay up to $100 if they're good copies, but I've been paying 110, 120 for the clean looking copies on eBay, because even the PSA 10 prices are starting to move a little bit. So I'm definitely still buying these, and I'm all in on these for sure. And that's been my dilemma the whole time. It's like, if I have $100, would I rather buy a Blooming Waters or a Celebrations Charizard? One to hold long term and one to try to flip. I've been trying to balance those, and that's kind of taken my attention away from things like the Bubble Mew and all that stuff, because really it comes down to, you know, do you want to flip your money? Do you want to invest your money? If, you know, I've been trying to flipping game for 3 years, and unfortunately a lot of this stuff, because it's run up so much, if I had just bought and hold it in 2022, I'd be doing better if I had just sat and held it. But I do think the pendulum will swing eventually, so I don't want to stop grading completely. So I am doing both. But these two right here are my big cash cows. I am all in on 151 Blooming Waters and the Celebrations Charizard from Classic Collection. So I'm hoping that those two kind of pay off for me. Again, every decision I make comes down to what's the best use of my money. And when you're looking at things that are $800, $900, $1,000, in my opinion, I'd rather take that money and put it into 10 of these and run that play all day long to try to flip that money. So I feel like there's always like current plays of current sets that you can buy for that $100 mark, and that's the sweet spot for me. So for me personally, I don't like chasing older stuff. Continuing to watch this, continuing to cross my fingers that this keeps going up, because I got a lot of these out at PSA personally. So this is one that I hope goes to the moon for sure. Special shout out, I'm going to do a video on trainer cards you should try to pull out of your bulk, but the Night Stretcher from Shrouded Fable is definitely one you should. It's $3.60, and from Shrouded Fable, nobody's opening Shrouded Fable, so that's a really good one to keep an eye on. The Charmander Pokemon Center exclusive, this is so interesting to me. These just recently went through a buyout, and I mentioned that these are on buyout watch for sure. They're already up to, oh my gosh, look at this. Last sold $339. I was going to say they're up to $250, but there are no more listed on here. The lowest list is now $340, $350, and then it bumps up to $400. That's exactly what I was saying in my video about the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs going forward. These have such low liquidity that if somebody with deep pockets wants to come in and buy these out, they could run them up to $500 with just buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies, and it's a $500 card. And that is silly, and that's exactly why I want to be playing in this space, this arena. I bought 2 of these this month for, I think I bought one for $150 and one for $180. So I'm definitely going to be selling those into this hype, especially if it runs up like they have. I mean, if they run up to $500, I'll definitely be offloading. But these are just crazy to me. And if we look at the 151 promo, that one's doing the same thing. It's running up to, I think it's at $200 now. And that's because of the PSA 10 prices. I was all fired up that I sold my PSA 10 for $1,000. Now it's already a week later, $1,200. I think it's even higher than that. So these cards are just doing stupid things, and it's because there's such low liquidity on these. They're so hard to grade that, again, I think these are doing very well. So the 2, again, what am I doing now? I'm not chasing the Charmander anymore. I bought my 2, and I'm not buying any more $350 to $500. That train has left the station. Instead, I'm buying the Eevees. I'm buying the Magnetons. Both of those are Pokemon Center stamped exclusives, are the 2 that I'm going to be aiming for going forward. I'll see if I can find them on the list and at least shout them out. The Gardevoir EX is a special nomination too. I bought one of those in a 9 the other day just because I was looking for raw copies to grade, and it was cheaper than raw in a 9, so I figured I'd pick that up. I love that card. The Giratina V-Star, Crown Zenith, I'm still buying these to grade. I'll start speedrunning this. I'm on page 10, so I'll start going through, not clicking on to view last solds. I'll just give my thoughts on them. The Eevee Pokemon, this is the exact one I was talking about. It's $76. I could see this running up to, $150, $200 eventually when they stop printing these, and I think they might be done with those. The Charizard VMAX promo at only $30. Maybe that's a pickup. I don't know. I love this promo. This is my favorite promo from the box, but again, price memory. I remember picking these up for $3 or for $5. Hard pill to swallow now. The Vaporeon VMAX at almost $100. Market price $88. Beautiful card. I'm trying to sell my PSA 10 copy of that, so I might take a look at buying another one of these just so that I can sell my PSA 10 and have another one. I don't want to sell my PSA 10 and look at these and they've been bought out and they're $250, so I might buy another one of these to hold on to while I try to sell my other one. Evolving Skies ETBs at $350. This is interesting because, again, I might even prefer an Evolving Skies ETB to something like to say Paldea Evolved at $350 as well. So that's an interesting one. I sold my Evolving Sky. I only have 2 ETBs left, and I'm holding on to those for dear life because they're the only sealed Evolving Skies products I have besides loose packs. Just thought that would be interesting to note. Page 11, Celebrations ETBs. These did come down a little bit to $241, it looks like. They were $250 and going up. Articuno from Journey Together. I still think this is underrated. I think this is another one of those cards that'll do very well long term. So I am picking these up. I picked one up in PSA 9 recently because, again, I was looking for gradable copies and it was just as cheap. Snorlax Pokemon Center exclusive promo. This is one that's going through that buyout again. I bought one the other day for $200. I think it's even higher than that now. Market price says $174, but it's definitely higher than that. Vaporeon V. All of these promo cards from the Sword and Shield era are going to be going up. This Umbreon VMAX, again, Brilliant Stars Trainer Gallery. I still think this is underrated. Not this card specifically, but Brilliant Stars in general. Because it has cards just like this, I still think that set is going to do very, very well long term. So it's interesting. You can see on page 12, the Brilliant Stars Elite Trainer box at only $100. I'd have to do the price per pack and see if that's worth it, but again, for $100, I'd just rather buy Blooming Waters. Crown Zenith packs. Crown Zenith packs looks like those are up to $12. It's interesting to compare Crown Zenith and 151. I think those two are very similar sets. I personally give the nod to 151, but again, I'm a Kanto homie. Charizard EX Gold Hyper Rare from Obsidian Flames at only $22. I think that's very underrated. I know people don't like gold cards, especially ones with crowns, and he's got pink wings, and it's not the most visually appealing, but it's still a gold Charizard card for only $20. I've been buying these when I can because I still think that's undervalued. But again, I'm a Charizard guy. I could be wrong. Mimikyu promo card, that's another one that if you missed the boat on some of these other promos, this one could do things. Mimikyu's a little bit more niche than the other two. It's not an original 151, but I still think this card could do very well. The Mew Secret Rare from Celebrations, I bought a lot of these last month. Again, to get ready for Celebrations. I still think Celebrations is going to do well. I still think there's more room for that to run as we get closer to the 30th anniversary. They haven't even announced the 30th anniversary. When they start announcing stuff and announcing the set and names and all that stuff, the hype for that set's going to go crazy, and I think that'll continue to spill over in the sealed product and the single cards. So I'm still picking up the Mew cards from Celebrations to try to grade. Page 15, nothing special here. The Starmie V, looks like this has gone up a little bit. Almost $100 market price. I still have a PSA 10 of this that I'm looking to offload, but I'm waiting for the price to come up a little bit because I figure when the raw card goes up, the PSA 10 price will go up. So I've got it listed on my eBay, but it's for quite a bit to where if it sells out, I can buy another copy. Try to run the play again. Rayquaza, sort of the same thing. Another beautiful trainer gallery card, almost 80 bucks. So again, I was grading these and selling these way too early, but that is sort of the game we play. Crown Zenith's finally showing up on page 16 a little bit more. The Suicune, the Palkia, the Glaceon EX. I'm just going to pull this up because people ask all the time, I just pulled this sweet card from a new set. Should I sell it? And the answer is probably yes in general. Again, if you pull it and you want the card anyway, you know, you're into the card for $5 or whatever the pack was, you like the card, especially if you want to grade it. You grade it, you get to 10, you're happy with it, amazing. Keep that card. But if you're trying to, you know, if you want more packs or you want more things or you think you can buy the card back later, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to sell this card. So I pulled this card. I was lucky enough to pull this card from Prismatic Evolutions. I graded it at 10, sold it off. I knew Prismatic was going to be printed like crazy. Didn't have an emotional attachment to pulling the card. It was just one of those that I pulled. You know, Glaceon is whatever. But I sold it in a 10 for like $750. Now this has come all the way down to 170. So now if I wanted the card, I could buy it again, run the graded play again, maybe get another 10. And I would have the card for much cheaper. And I had, you know, 6 months to use the funds that I sold the card for. So in general, if you pull a big card, most times, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to sell the card and buy it back cheaper if you don't have any sentimental reason to hold on to that card. The Aerodactyl V Alt Art from Lost Origin. This is one I've been had my eye on for like 3 years. It's been $120 for what feels like 3 years. I've wanted this card forever. One of these days I'm going to look, it's going to be a $250 card. I'm going to be kicking myself, but maybe one day I'll finally buy that card. Magneton promo card. This is one that I said I'll be taking a look at, especially with Surging Sparks ETBs getting as big of a reprint as they have. I think this card will come down and will be a good opportunity to buy that. Page 19, 2 to go. We've got the Blastoise from Celebrations up to $12. This was a $5 card for the longest time, finally going up. And we see again Destined Rivals Mewtwo's popping up. 60 bucks for this gold, $65 for this gold card is kind of crazy. I love this card personally, but and then this Pikachu here from Paldea Evolved at $11 for a Pikachu with 3 starters on it. I think this one is undervalued as well. This is another one that I would be looking to pick up. In addition to the Eevee and the Magneton, I think this Pikachu is another one that will do very well long term. So this is another one that I'm picking up. I bought some of these with the Pokemon Center stamp, but I'll be looking to pick up more of these at $11. Again, Paldea Evolved ETB will eventually be up there with all the others, and this promo card will do very well. So at $10, there's still opportunity with this card as well. And on page 18, obviously it's not being bought up very heavily, so good opportunity there. And that's why you kind of go into these deeper pages. Usually pages like 1 to 5, if you don't have those already, it's going to be tough to chase. But when you get further down into pages 10 to 20, there might be still some opportunity in some of these cards. So that's kind of why I like to flip through these pages so much. Again, here's that Charizard from Shiny Fates I was talking about, $98. It feels like it's been $80 to $100 for as long as I've been in the hobby for the last 3 years. Same thing as Pikachu V. I feel like that's been a $40 to $50 card for the longest time. And so, you know, with singles, there can be cards that you feel are really cool or really undervalued, but the market for some reason doesn't feel the same way as you, and that's just going to happen. Singles are much more volatile than sealed product, which is why I do both, because there's opportunity in both, but also because it's fun, especially with grading plays. I make content out of it. Grading's always been fun to me, so I've kind of balanced it by doing a little bit of both. But at $100, again, there's better cards that for $100 than this Charizard VMAX, even though I think this is my favorite card from the Sword and Shield era, but I've got a 10 of this. I did buy one of these to grade just to see if I could get another 10. If I'll do it, I'll just keep running this play again because I think Charizard will do well, as I'm mentioning, but again, I'm rambling, so I'll stop the video there. I appreciate you guys watching. Hit me with a rocket emoji if you made it this far. If you made it this far, you're insane, because I'm a small-time YouTuber, and you guys are deep into the Pokemon hobby if you're watching me for this long. So I appreciate you guys very, very much. Let me know in the comments if you do have any questions about selling, investment, whatever. I'll do my best to answer. I might answer with a short, I might answer with a video, but I'll get your question answered in the comments, and I might do a video about it as well. So let me know in the comments what other type of content you'd like to see from me. I've been trying a little bit of everything here to expand my channel. Appreciate you guys watching. The support has been great. People that leave comments, I love you all. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.